Alright, the mid-segment of a trapezoid is just a line that connects the midpoints of the legs. So here, if I were to take E to be the midpoint of this leg, and then F to be the midpoint of this leg, and then connect them, we call that line the mid-segment, right? So two properties that this mid-segment has. First of all, the mid-segment is going to be parallel to both of the bases. So we can say that EF is parallel to both AB and CD. Okay, so EF is parallel to AB is parallel to CD. Right? The second property that we're going to do some practice problems with here is that the length of the midsegment is equal to the average of the bases. So we can write that out like this. We can say EF here is equal to AB plus CD divided by 2. If we just want to find the average of two things, we would add them together and divide by 2. So we can use this idea and jump right into some practice problems. So for 1 through 4, we're using this picture up here. So we're saying, number 1, we've got the length of AB is 14, the length of DC is 26. We want to use that information to find EF. Okay, well, we know the length of the midsegment is equal to the two bases added together divided by 2. So I can just say EF equals, I'll go ahead and write it out, AB plus CD divided by 2, and then we're going to substitute those values in. So we know AB is 14, CD is 26. We're dividing that by 2. So 14 plus 26 is 40, and then 40 divided by 2 gets me 20. So for this one, the length of the midsegment is exactly in between the lengths of the two bases. Right? That's what average is. We're just finding the number in the middle. So 20 is exactly halfway in between 14 and 26. Right. Questions so far? Alright, go ahead and try number 2 then. Number 2 is the same idea. So we're given AB and DC. We want to use that to find EF.
Batch. So 32 plus 38 divided by 2.
So this one is actually a little bit different because we're given the length of the midsegment.
So we're supposed to be doing number 2.
Yeah.
I thought it was straight down.
Yeah. So we'll do 3 together here in a second.
Yeah.
Your question about 3
Hey. Hey. You want a sniff? You want a sniff?
No.
What about?
Sure.
Problem.
Yeah, I don't think
What's 38 divided by 2? You're lying.
8 squared.
It's 19 actually. Stupid. What? I'll eat your ass like cereal. With milk. Who eats cereal with no milk? You're gonna bend over, take the milk.
You're just go.
Alright, so we get 19 for number 2.
That's good. I think you're on the right track.
Alright. So let's take a look
You're
at
chocolate pebble.
3 and 4 now. Okay?
I'm
On
just adding
3 and
milk.
4, we're given a little bit different information.
That's it.
So on number 3, I'm given EF. I'm given the length of the mid-segment is 22, and then this base EC is 38, and from that, I want to find the other base. Okay, so if we think about the equation that we've been working with, the length of the mid-segment is equal to the average of the two bases. And I plug in the information I know. I know EF is 22, so I can say 22 equals AB plus 38 divided by 2. So now I want to solve this equation for AB. That's my variable. To do that, we want to get rid of this division first. The easiest way to get rid of a fraction is to multiply. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 2 here. What that does over here, that cancels this out. Multiplying by 2 and dividing by 2 are inverse operations. So go over here then. So 2 times 22 is 44. So we just have 44 equals AB plus 38. And then I would subtract 38 from both sides and get that AB would have to have a length of 6. Right? So, if we think about that information, then we can check our answer, and it does fit. Right? 22 is exactly halfway in between 6 and 38. Right? There's a difference of 16 here. Right? 22 plus 16 is 38, and there's a difference of 16 here. 6 plus 16 is 22. So we're using the same idea. We're just solving for a different piece here. Questions? All right, go ahead and try number 4 then. 4 is the same idea.
You're like,
What?
arguing.
No, you're like,
So,
you just gotta move your nostrils, right? Yo!
I don't think I have control over my body.
You. Smell something funny in my ear. Smell like dick. Oh my god, I'm at McDonald's. I almost went to McDonald's, guys.
That's
I almost did it, I swear.
I like Marianne.
I almost went.
Like those little
Mr. Fred.
That's not his name anymore.
so
There's this thing.
41 and 47 are these two sides. And I want to find this one. So we're saying the length of the mid-segment is equal to the average of the two bases. 41 plus BC over 2. So then we would multiply by 2. Get rid of that. And that'll be 94 94 equals 41 plus.
Where the whoa? Wait.
All he's doing is like,
Look at mine. But I put the 41 and 47 on.
Yeah, so EF is the length of the mid-segment. So that's the one that should go here.
Oh, this is so much work. Jacob, this is all your fault.
how's it my fault?
Because you told me what to do.
I did not tell you what to do. I actually don't know what to do.
You know what? This is for your adopted.
Really?
Full adoption. What?
All right, for this one, did we get 53? Okay. So the length of the mid-segment is 47. That would equal the two bases added together divided by 2. So 41 plus our unknown base of DC divided by 2. Solving that equation, we should get 53. Questions so far? All right. Then let's take this same idea and throw in some expressions. So on number 5, we want to use this same idea that the mid-segment is equal to the two bases added together divided by 2. So my setup here is going to be the mid-segment, which is 5x minus 19, equals the two bases added together and divided by 2. So x plus 14 plus 38 divided by 2. The length of the mid-segment equals the two bases added together divided by 2. So, to solve, we can start by combining my like terms here. So 5x minus 19 equals x plus 52 over 2. Now, I don't like fractions. I want to get rid of fractions. Just like we did for numbers 3 and 4, if I'm dividing by something, I can get rid of that by multiplying by that same value. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 2 here. Now when I do that, I need to make sure that I'm multiplying everything on the left side of the equation by 2. Okay, so over here, these cancel out. Over here then, I'm going to distribute this 2 to both terms. So I will end up with 10x minus 38 equals x plus 52. Now I just need to get the x's on one side. So I'll subtract this x over. Get 9x minus 38 equals 52. Then I'll add the 38 over. Plus 38 plus 38. I'll come up here then. So we'll have 9x equals 52 plus 38 is 90. And then divide by 9 and we should get x equals 10. Now we're not quite done. The question then says to find yz. So I need to take this and plug it back into my expression for yz. So I'll say yz equals 5 times 10 minus 19. So 50 minus 19 should get us 31. Somebody lost their brain. Okay, so same idea as what we did up top. The length of the mid-segment equals the two bases added together, divided by 2. Got his nose or something? Questions? All right, try number 6.
Listen, I might have to start going sheet of paper.
Yeah, if you need more paper, go for it.
I feel like you're gonna start doing the freaking problem before I even get my piece of paper out.
Well, just don't look up at the board yet if I do.
Yeah. You left them out. I mean, they're free for grabbing. Aren't they? You should have put them away.
Alright, I mean, we get that X is 5, and then KJ is 29.
I just about died on a fruit gusher.
Alright. Any questions on this idea here?
I need you more.
You want to practice it more?
No.
So, I mean, there's one more on here, so go ahead and, if you haven't already, just take a minute and try that last one. As you're trying that one, the edge elastic last week did not go very well at all. So
I left them one.
we're going to talk about some of those problems here in a second. And this is optional. A lot of people have zeros in for it, so I would think you would want to do this to get that 0 out of the grade book. But there's four more problems.
Yeah, I really about died on my fruit gusher.
Parallel and perpendicular lines. So we'll talk about the ones from the edge elastic here.
I mean, he left his water out too, so maybe 3.
What's that?
There's water. He left it out. I just about died on a fruit gusher when you were talking. You didn't even pay attention. I forgot to chew it really good.
How do you?
No, I chewed it. I chewed it, but not enough. And I was like, over here dying. You're sitting there talking like everything's normal.
I forgot
I struggle with this.
What is
Yeah,
this?
that's point slope form of the line, yeah.
With the struggle.
Oh, can you put one for gauge too?
Oh, yeah.
Thanks.
Dude, come on. You're getting jerked, you know. What's that for?
Yeah. He left it out. It was free for
It's
grabbing.
like saying if you leave like a dirt right now, it's free to grab.
I mean, people steal them anyway. It's not like it matters. They walk past like, ooh, that should be mine.
That's good piece.
Like, Batch, I got a major question. Can I use the restroom? Thanks, dude.
Oh, this is not looking too good. That's why. Well, here's the thing. I don't know what to do. It's always getting up to man, you drink my water. I'm getting to
So you put the wrong one on the left side. So the 8 is over here. So the base is divided by 2.
whatever one is, the 2 letters.
Yeah, the one that's that connects the midpoints, that's the mid segment. So that's the one that everything is equal to.
Oh, it's always the mid.
Yeah, the mid segment is the one that you go on the left side, and then we're going to add these bases together.
I don't know what I was doing right there.
Alright, for the last problem on the note sheet here, I think we should get that x is equal to 2, and then if we plug that back in for uv, we would get 13. 8 times 2 is 16 minus 3 is 13.
My bad. I was in the wrong.
Alright, any other questions on this mid-segment idea? Alright, then let's take a look at the edge elastic from last week. Let me pull this up here.
Are we gonna have fun?
Nah. This can replace the. A lot of people did. That's why we're doing this.
4 day week. We're off Monday.
All right.
President's Day. Me and my brother used to start writing inside out. I mean, it works so much. It's a little ritual.
Alright, let's go through a couple of these writing equations of parallel and perpendicular line problems from the edge elastic last week. And these are really, really similar to the ones that are on your paper that you can do to fix that grade. Right? So I'll take these 4 problems and grade them for accuracy and replace your grade from the edge elastic for last week with this. Okay? So let's do one parallel and one perpendicular problem. For number 1 here, it says write the equation of the line that is parallel to y equals 2x plus 7 and passes through the point negative 3, 2. Okay? So first of all, parallel in terms of slopes of equations. Parallel means same slope. So if I look at this equation, the slope of y equals 2x plus 7, the slope is 2. So I know that my new line is also going to have a slope of 2. And I want it to go through this point, negative 3, 2. The equation that we've used to write a line, if we're given the point and the slope, is point slope. This one, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And then we're just going to plug in this information. So this is my m, and then my coordinate point is my x1, y1. So if I plug this in, y minus y1, so I'll have y minus 2 equals my slope of 2 times x minus negative 3. But x minus negative 3 would be the same as x plus 3. So we just want to solve for y now. So I'm going to distribute this 2. Y minus 2 equals 2x plus 6. Add the 2 over, and we'll get y equals 2x plus 8. Okay, that's the answer. This line would be parallel to this line and go through this point. Now remember, we also talked about you can check that answer in Desmos. Right? You can plug this equation in and this point, and then your answer. Make sure that your answer is parallel to this line and passes through that point. Right? So the keys are using our point slope form of a line, using the point that we're given, and then if we want parallel, we're using the same slope. Okay? So let's take a look at a perpendicular one then. Let's do one of the graphing perpendicular ones. So on this one, and this question was actually the air question from last year. This identical question was on the air test last year. Okay? So you are more than likely going to see a question like this on the air test, where you have to write the equation of either a parallel or perpendicular line. So this one says we want a line perpendicular to this line. They just give us the graph. They don't give us the equation. And passes through this point. So what we could do is write the equation of this line, okay, so that it looks just like the problem we just did. So to write the equation of a line, I want to find the slope. So, and they even marked off 2 points on this line. Okay, to find slope, we're looking at rise over run, so the change in the y values over the change in the x values. So from this point to this point, I go down 3, right 2. So my slope is going to be negative 3 over 2. And then my y-intercept is at 7. So the equation of this line, remember if we're thinking y equals mx plus b, the equation of this line is y equals negative 3 over 2x plus 7. My new line, I want to be perpendicular to that. In terms of slopes, perpendicular means opposite reciprocal slope. Right? So if my old slope was negative 3 over 2, I want the opposite reciprocal of that. So opposite means change the sign. So if it was negative, it will now be positive. The reciprocal part means flip the fraction. So my new slope is going to be positive 2 over 3. Okay. Then I want it to go through the point 3, 1. So I have y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And this is my x1, y1. So plugging this information in, we'll have y minus 1 equals 2/3 times x minus 3. And now we distribute the 2/3 through. So y minus 1 equals 2/3 x 2/3 times negative 3. You can just do that in the calculator. It would be negative 2. And add 1 over. And our final answer ends up being y equals 2/3 x minus 1. So, these 4 problems here you can do to replace your edge-elastic grade from last week. Now, there are some people that got 4 out of 4, so you don't need to do this. Right? But I would certainly highly recommend doing this to fix that grade if you did not do well.